So you want to spam Ruby? Well, do you like Little Red Riding Hood? Do you like size? Do you like crowd control? Do you like spell vamp? Well, Ruby, the Little Red Hood, is the hero for you.
Launch attack! Turtle resurrecting soon. Ally has been slain. You have slain an enemy.
Now Ruby's story is a bit dark. When she was young, her village was attacked by the Wolf King, and she managed to survive the attack, and I quote, by using the corpses of her grandparents to hide herself from the wolves. I am not joking. Outraged, she picked up the few sides and started to slaughter almost all of the wolves, leaving the Wolf King to survive. I don't know why he survived. Now, whenever the wolves howl, her eyes fill with rage. In-game, Ruby has one of the most highest sustains in the game. She is classified as a tank fighter and can survive most team fights as long as she doesn't get focused too much or get crowd controlled a lot. All of her skills are crowd controls, her passive makes you a slippery target, and the more targets she has for her skills, the tankier she gets. If you're having a team fight in lane with minions, then Ruby is gonna have a fun time. So Ruby's passive is lifesteal but it's spell vamp. You gain 10% physical lifesteal, you gain extra 115% lifesteal from equipment, basic attacks do not trigger the lifesteal, and you dash in a direction of your joystick after every skill cast. Every dash grants you physical and magical defense, it stacks up to 3 times and it lasts up to 4 seconds. And here is some dashing stats. This passive is the reason why Ruby is really tanky. Instead of relying on her basic attacks for lifesteal, you can use your skills instead, and if there's a lot of people around when you cast your skill, you can regain most of your health back. And once if you have Has Claws, the health you gain back is ridiculous, especially if you have low health. But, just like any hero that relies on regaining health, Deadly Blade and Necklace of Durance can screw you over. Ruby's first skill is Slowing Slash. You slash forward and cause a shockwave, dealing damage to enemies and slowing them by 40%. That's it. It's just a slow. Good for lane harass and good for catching up to fleeing enemies. Her second skill is a spinning stun. You spin around with your sight, stunning people around you and pulls them slightly towards you. And here is some spinning stats. This skill is the bane of tanks who need to be in the center of the enemy team to trigger their big AoE crowd control. And if Ruby's around, you better beware, otherwise she will cancel your ultimate faster than your team yelling at you on why you didn't use your crowd control. And finally, her ultimate is Hook and Drag. You pull people in front of you and you deal high amount of physical damage. And here is some hooking stats. This skill works well with tanks who usually clump up heroes with their ultimate skills, namely Atlas and Tigreal. You can also use this skill to hook other people to the tower by using the commonly known flicker hook combo. And since the attack scaling of this skill is so high, you can use it on minion waves to heal yourself for a large amount. So skill max, I go first skill first because it's good for lane harass in the early stages of the game, then second skill last since the stun duration is fixed and it doesn't increase per level, and go for third skill whenever available. But how do I use Ruby?
Turtle resurrecting soon. Ally has been slain. Launch attack! You have slain an enemy.
Ruby was one of my mains when I was still new to Mobile Legends. It was fun to see when enemies think that they can kill you, but you cast one of your skills and your health gets replenished instantly while you are depleting theirs. Ruby is also one of the most versatile heroes I know. If you want to focus on sustain and survivability, you can build her with a lot of lifesteal. You can build her as a pure offense fighter, you can use her in the jungle, you can use her as a tank since people at Moonton classified her as a tank. And people will now think that you will build Ruby as a tank, but that's okay. Just build her core items and then you can go with the usual tank items. And this is why I enjoy using Ruby. She is so versatile. Early game, make sure to farm a lot and make sure you get Has Claws early. If you don't feel like that you can survive against your laner, you can save up to 400 gold and immediately buy a Vampiric Mallet as your first item for the extra lifesteal. And if ever you are constantly low on mana, you can try to build Azure Blade for the mana regen and some true damage. Also, it depends on you if you want to build Endless Battle first since Vampiric Mallet and Azure Blade are requirements for Endless Battle, But if you really want more sustain, then I prefer going Haskell's. Mid-game, you can either push your lane and destroy it until the second turret, or once you have destroyed your first turret, you can go help your other lanes, but at the same time, try to defend your lane as best as you can. In late game, stick with your team and provide them with the crowd controls they need. Watch out for any tanks or mages that may use their big teamfight ultimate and may screw your team over. You can try to save up your stuns to make sure the tank or mage doesn't screw your team. You can also help your backline by stunning any assassins that might charge on your marksman or mages. And while you're stunning them, the marksman or mage can slowly pick them off. For my Ruby build, I usually go for tough boots if the enemy has too much crowd control, or if you want to go pure offensive Ruby, you can go for magic shoes for the early cooldown reduction. Then, I go for Haskell's for the extra lifesteal when I'm low in health, Endless Battle because for the ridiculous stats that it gives, also for the true damage and the mana regen. Next, I go for Queen's Wings for the damage reduction and the extra lifesteal you get when you're low, Hunter Strike for the extra movement speed and so that you can catch up to escaping heroes, and for the cooldown reduction of course. And lastly, I go for either Brute Force Chestplate or Immortality. Brute Force Chestplate because its passive is similar to Ruby's, and Immortality in case if we are losing and I'm one of the key heroes needed to defend the base. If you are using her as a tank, don't forget to buy a roaming mask so that your marksman can farm properly. It also depends on you if you want to upgrade it. And if you are planning to upgrade your mask, I suggest going for Courage Mask for the extra speed boost. And before buying her tank items, make sure you buy her Husk Claws and Queen's Wings because those two items are usually her core items. Once you bought those two items, you can go for the usual tank items. For emblems, you can opt for the Assassin emblem, getting movement speed, penetration, or spell vamp, and having high and dry for the extra physical damage when you are alone with your enemy. Or, you can have a fighter emblem and going full physical and getting Festival of Blood for the extra spell vamp. And finally, if you are using tank emblem, try going for magic defense, cooldown reduction, and tenacity because it works well with her passive, Husk Claws, and Blood Wings. For Ruby counters, I think it's Cho, Martis, and Bastia. Chao because it's Chao, Martis because he also has crowd control immunity and he can burst down Ruby with his skills, and if ever Ruby is low on health, Martis can just use his ult to finish her off. And Basha because his passive is anti-heal. Honestly, Ruby can be a great addition to any lineup because of her crowd controls, and despite not getting picked that often in higher ranks, she has a decent win rate, but in all, she's pretty fun to use, especially if you hit her skills right. And it's doubly fun watching your health bar slowly decaying, and one swing of her sight just brings it back to full health. Anyway, that's all for this video. If this guide has helped you, please leave a like, and if you have reached, at least epic rank, consider subscribing. It helps me out a lot, and helps my channel grow slightly bigger. And if you are subscribed, make sure to hit the notification bell to be informed of the next Gerald James Kanovich video. Anyway, that's it from me. Make sure to like my Facebook page, the link will be in the description. Stay safe. Gerald James, signing out.